Hello Stitchers, welcome back to my channel. It's Jenny from Jenny Stitches and it's lovely to have you here with me today. So it's January 2025. Happy New Year everybody. I had hoped to film this video. I feel like I start a lot of videos like this, but I had hoped to film this before Christmas and the idea was to have it live in between Christmas and New Year, but unfortunately I got poorly just before Christmas and I lost my voice, which kind of made it impossible. So I thought, well, let's just do it in January and yeah, here we are. So I wanted to take a really lovely look back at 2024. In terms of the business and in terms of the sewing and all the good things that have happened here, because it's so easy to keep moving forwards onto the next thing all the time. And it's lovely, I think, at New Year to really stop and look back at what's gone on in the last 12 months and reflect on the positives, on the negatives. And yeah, it really helps shape where we go going forwards. And yeah, 2024, what a year. What a year. I think for me personally, probably one of the most defining years of my life, without going too deep. If you watched the video that I posted in the late summer, I sort of went into a bit more detail about how in 2024 I really struggled with my mental health. There were some things that had happened to me in my personal life which were not related to the business that were quite emotionally traumatic, and it really came to bite me. I've been there a few times before in my life. I've struggled with depression and anxiety before. But this time it was quite serious and I just could not work through it with my usual coping mechanisms. And I did seek out some help, and I talk about that a lot more in that video, and I'm absolutely fine now. In fact, I am 1000% better now. I have come out of the other side of that a much stronger and more resilient person. And I thought I was a strong and resilient person anyway, but it turns out there's always work to do. So yes, 2024 has been a year of massive lows and massive highs, both personally and professionally. But I'm pleased to say that we made it to the end of the year and Jenny Stitches is still here and is thriving and has had its best year yet. And there's so many highlights. I want to share them with you. So I actually sat this morning and made notes. So this is the most prepared you will ever see me for a YouTube video. It's kind of my signature style to turn up and wing it. But I did make some notes. Just had to go back and really look through the camera roll on my phone and remind myself of all the things that we'd done. Because yeah, it just goes by in a blur, doesn't it? And yeah, what a year it's been. What a year. And it's been amazing. And I just really want to start by thanking you for coming along with me on the journey and being a part of Jenny Stitches and the community and all of it. If you've bought from me, if you've signed up from the emails, if you've watched the videos, if you've engaged with the lives, anything, I really appreciate you being here. I literally could not do it without you. So thank you. I have my cup of tea. It's cold. It's very cold outside today. I think it was about -2 when I set off to take the children to school this morning, which is not ideal. But January is doing its thing as it should. It's winter, so it should be cold. So yeah, lots of hot drinks today to keep warm. And let's get stuck in. So I'm going to start with January, and you'll have to bear with me just looking down here at my notes. So in January, we kicked off the year strong with a beginner's workshop with the lovely Lucy of Sew Cumbria. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop some pictures in here as well, so we can sort of go through a little recap. So we welcomed our first beginner's workshop, which was very exciting. And those ladies on the workshop created little zip-up pouches, which was lovely. Also in January, was when I officially started work on transforming the upstairs of the shop. So I've got plenty of videos on the channel that sort of explain it, but upstairs needed a lot of work doing to it. It was water damaged, it was neglected, it had been abandoned for quite some time. There was no flooring. It was quite a mess. But the issue that I had was that the roof was leaking, and it was still leaking in January, and I was waiting for somebody to come and fix that because my landlord is responsible for repairing the roof, and we were waiting on the roofer coming. It turned out he never actually came in the end, and I ended up engaging the roofer that fixed the roof on my house, who came within a few days and fixed it. So there you go. We got it sorted. But because the ceiling was leaking, I couldn't really get started on the main room, so I started on the kitchen. And the kitchen had really seen some of the worst of the water damage upstairs. The building had had a leak in the past, and then had had like a large portion of the roof replaced. So although it was watertight for the most part, it had really got some quite significant water damage in the kitchen, and there was literally holes in the walls, the plaster was coming off, there was just water everywhere. So in January, it was freezing cold. I decided to get cracking with at least putting some paint on the walls to try and make it feel a little bit cleaner. I didn't have the money to go and do like a full, like rip the kitchen out, have it plastered, and at the end of the day, it's not my building, so decided not to do that. But I did get stuck in with getting some paint on the walls, which was amazing. And really just sort of drew a line in the sand for like, right, we're going for it upstairs now. And it was so cold. And every time I would look out of the kitchen door at that main room, I just thought, this mountain is so high to climb. I just could not see the other side. And it goes back to that old saying of don't try to eat the elephant. Just take it one bite at a time. So I just had to not look out of the door at the rest of the upstairs space, just focus on what I was doing that day and get going. So what else happened in January? I made a Jackson t-shirt, and I filmed it as a sew along, and that is available on this channel. And I really enjoyed doing that. That was a real departure in content for me. It's not often that I've never done like a sew along with me type style of video before. I'd love to do more of that going forwards. Time sort of hasn't been on my side this year, and we'll go into why. So that was lovely. That was a Helen's Closet Jackson t-shirt, and I also at the time ran that as I was doing it to advertise running that as a class. So that was January. Very nice. And in February, we kicked off by doing our first Get to Know Your Overlocker class with Lucy, again from Sew Cumbria. This has turned out to be one of the most popular classes ever. Basically, Lucy comes and teaches you, demystifies overlocking. And I know it's quite common for people to buy an overlocker and then not take it out of the box for months and be too scared to use it or confused by it or not really be getting the most out of it. And I sat in the corner and just listened quietly throughout, and Lucy takes you through everything. She took you through the threading of the machine and how to do sort of things like rolled hems and more complex things, how to overlock around curves, all sorts of stuff. Really, really good. So that was fully attended, and we had a waiting list, so that was really nice. At the same time in February, I decided I was going to repaint my little window display. So the front of the shop has two main windows and a door in the middle. And one of the windows is open, so you can see right through into the shop space, and the other one is boxed off with a doorway, like a proper traditional shop window display, which I love because that gives me a little bit of a creative space within there, and it also means that there's a wall on the back of the window for retail display on the inside, so it's actually really handy. But I'd painted it out white when I moved in, as I painted everything white, and it was just looking a little bit blank. So I decided to go and get some lovely sky blue wallpaper. I had a vision in mind for the display, and I wanted like a wallpaper with clouds on it, but when I got to the shop, I was like, I'm just going to paint it. So I painted it blue, this lovely sky blue just to play into a window display idea I had, which was I wanted to string up a washing line and then hang like colourful t-shirts on it. I've got some fake grass and I made a little, like a laundry prop and put a basket at the bottom, and I had this lovely scene in there, and then I hung some little clouds from the ceiling. So yeah, it was really pretty and it was very springy and fresh, and yeah, really sort of brightened that space up. Also in February felt like it was quite a busy month. I finished painting the kitchen, and I also wallpapered some of the kitchen because some of it was so bad it could not be painted. It had to be covered with something. So a bit of filler got thrown around, and then some good old anaglypta got stuffed on the walls. And you know what? If you went up there now, you would never know what lies beneath. And in a way it was quite awful because like my standards are quite high with decorating, and if that was my house there is no way that that would wash, but I kind of did what I had to do up there. But it looks great and it does the job. So that was kind of one space that had moved from disgusting to now functional and clean, and really sort of marked the start of that process of getting upstairs tidy and on the way. Also in February, I received the news that I had won one of the Stitch Awards, which came completely out of the blue. I was really surprised when I got that phone call. So the Stitch Awards were hosted by Love Sewing magazine, and I had won Best Fabric Shop in the North of England, which is just incredible. So very, very pleased about that, very proud, and really, really grateful to the people that voted for me. Yeah, amazing. And then also in February, we launched the very first purple package. So purple packages, if you are new here, are our kits, which we put together. I haven't done many of them yet, but I do have plans to do more. And it has everything inside that you need to sew a particular garment or item. And in this case, I started with the Oxbow tote by Noodlehead. And I didn't, obviously January and February were very quiet. I'd had a very expensive 2023 with the move and things and various other things. I didn't have a lot of cash to invest in stock and stuff for kits, so I bought some boxes and I used what I had on the shelves to put some bag kits together. And I genuinely thought, I'm not sure if anybody's going to buy these, so I'll just do like 6. I think I did 6 or 8, and I went on live at 5 that evening, and I will never forget, never ever forget this experience, because in the afternoon I was speaking to a supplier. And my haberdashery supplier is quite a good friend now, and he really sort of, we talk a lot about our businesses and so on and so forth. And I just said to him, I am just so tired, I'm so down, I'm completely doubting my ability to make this business a success. And he just said, look, get on your thing, sell your kits, keep going, you've got this. And I went on the live, and I am not kidding you, they had sold out before the live finished. And then I kind of got an onslaught of angry comments about why have you not made more? Like, because I didn't think you'd buy them. And that was such a lesson to me in that moment, to be more confident in my abilities, to be more confident in my product, and to just really stop holding myself back, which was amazing. And those kits are just beautiful. I'm really proud of how well I've put them together. I think they're pretty, I think they're well packaged, and yeah, I can't wait to come up with some more for you. So that was the start of Purple Packages. And I also went on then to put together a hoodie kit. So for the Cashmerette Stanton hoodie, which was also a success, we did that in February, and I filmed half of a sew along for the Stanton hoodie before doing the last part of it, and then somehow managing to make a mess of my camera settings and ruining the last part of the footage, which is why it's never been posted. And yeah, and I just kind of never got back to it. So typical me. Moved on. So I'm really sorry if you were watching along with the Stanton hoodie videos. I need to pull it out and finish it off. But unfortunately I have lost the footage that I had at that point. But anyway, we move. And I also in February made more Jackson t-shirts to complete that washing line, and we started to host an evening class for making t-shirts. So I had 3 lovely ladies coming in that were learning to sew with knits, which is great because a big thing about sewing with knits is confidence, and it's great to have that helping hand. Okay, so that brings us on to March. 2 months of the year down already. And yeah, looking back at the pictures, I just think, oh, March is so nice, isn't it? It's so optimistic. The days start getting a bit longer. The clocks change at the end of the month. It's a bit more light. There's just those first little inklings of spring, and hope starts to return. January and February, as much as I want to be positive about them, are hard. So yeah, moving into March is just a relief, isn't it? In March, Tilly and the Buttons released their Thea trousers sewing pattern, and I sewed that up in 8-ounce denim in the light wash, and I am so pleased with how those trousers fit and came together. They're just fab. I would 10 out of 10 recommend the pattern. We finished off our t-shirt class, and all 3 ladies made beautiful t-shirts and graduated, if you will. And that for me was my first ever teaching experience. I've yet to repeat it. However, this year I'm hoping to teach some classes myself, which will be nice. And we held our spring sale in March as well. I think it was March, around Easter time. Don't do many sales throughout the year, but spring, summer and winter, we have sales. So that was nice. So 1 quarter of the year down, that brings us into April. In April, I kicked off by sewing a dressing gown, which I suddenly can't remember the name of the robe. It's just gone straight out of my head. Love Notions Compose robe. That was the one, in white bamboo toweling. We held a workshop. Kim from Make the Lakes came through and taught her first workshop of the year here, which was sewing the crescent bag by Noodlehead. I made myself the half zipper sweater by Wardrobe by Me, which is what I'm wearing today, but I made it in purple soft sweat. I love that pattern. And I also made a mini page hoodie for my daughter, Juliet. Where did I put my other page hoodie? I'm sure I made a page hoodie. Oh, I made a page hoodie in February. I missed that. And that April was also the month where I really, in earnest, started to get stuck into the preparation work for upstairs. I had a bit of finance came through at that point, so I was able to buy the flooring and really go out and get the furniture ordered and get stuck in. The roof was fixed. It was a bit warmer. There was nothing holding me back at that point. So I started to really prep the surfaces and start some painting. And then in May was when things really, really got going. The huge thing in May was that we had the electrical work done, and this was the biggest investment out of the whole project. When I took the building over, there was no electrical sockets in the main part of upstairs. There was some in the kitchen, and that was it. And obviously, if you're sewing, you need a lot of power. So I had sockets put all around the room, which needed a new ring main, and I also had some extra sockets put in downstairs so that we could power things like Christmas lights in the window and plug more irons in and things down here, and that was quite a large investment to get the electricians in for a couple of days, but worth every single penny. And once that was done, that was all systems go. Mr. Stitches came in and started to lay the flooring upstairs, which just completely transformed everything. And yeah, it really felt like we were turning a corner and getting somewhere at that point. I also Tilly released the Nell dress at that point, and as soon as I saw the Nell dress pattern, I thought that needs to be a purple package, and that's what we did. So I sewed myself my gingham version of the Nell, which I adore. It has been one of my most favourite things I've ever made, and I was working on that sample in May. June, things just upped a notch again. June is my favourite month of the year. It's my birthday month. It's Mr. Stitch's birthday. It's our wedding anniversary. The garden is perfect in June. This is such a side note, but it's my favourite time of year. And that's when we really pulled out all the stops to get the bulk of the work done upstairs. I wallpapered the end wall, mostly because I felt like it just needed something to lift it a little bit from just all being white. The furniture all arrived from IKEA. We launched the Nell dress purple package, which was a brilliant success. I'm so pleased with that kit again. We held not one, but 2 workshops. Yep, 2 workshops in June. So Lucy came through and taught the shirred dress workshop, which I took part in myself. And Kim came through and taught a wallet workshop, so making the noodle head. It's just gone out of my head. The little yarrow wristlet and pouch. So we had 2 workshops there. I also made myself a pair of cargo pants. I can't remember what brand they were now. That company's ceased trading as well. It'll pop in my head. Yeah, so lots of activity, lots of positive activity. Year definitely turning a corner and picking up at this point. And I also started to write my guide to choosing fabric, which if you haven't downloaded it yet, you must download it. You've got to sign up for the email list and you'll get it. So June was a massive month and really positive month, and it just felt like traction was going where it needed to be. My head was back in the game. Loads of positive stuff. That brings us on to July. The industry always goes a little bit quiet in July and August. There's definitely a touch of seasonality as everyone's going off on holiday and things. And in July, I knew it was time that I set myself a little goal that when I came back from my holidays in August, that I needed to have staff members. And I put an advert out for staff, which was quite nerve-wracking to share your baby with other people, but I was also really excited for who I might meet, and so we'll come back to that. And July was just a lovely month. It was filled with so much positivity. Our socials at this point were just absolutely rocking. What a fab little community we've got in here of the Social Stitchers. Just a group of wonderful, wonderful people. And we had some lovely summer socials. Mr. Stitches was mostly working upstairs every weekend, sort of on the flooring, and the children would be here as well. And he was kind of helping me run the socials until I had some staff support. So he was very much involved as well. And it was just a lot of fun. I got my pavement licence. So I'd applied for a pavement licence with the council so I could put some furniture outside, because I really just wanted to brighten up the outside of the shop and make it stand out on the street. So I painted some planters in bright purple, and we've got some lovely pink chairs. And it was mostly so that I can sit outside and have a morning coffee on a nice day, I'll be honest. So yeah, lots of lovely things happened in July. And I also won another award in July, or I was runner-up for our local Barrow Buzz Business Awards, and for that I made a gorgeous simplicity dress to wear. So that was just a lovely positive evening. We had more workshops. We had Kim came and taught a Made by Ray Cleo skirt workshop, and I really started my holiday sewing in earnest because we were going away in August. So I'd kind of come to a point where I'd done most of the work upstairs and I had time to sew again, because that was the most frustrating thing about doing the decorating work, was it really ate into my sewing time. So I had a window of a few weeks where I knew I could knock out some things for my holiday, and in that time I made a pair of shorts. I made the True Bias Danny shorts, I made the Sew Over It Sophia dress, and I made a pair of lovely wide leg linen trousers, which were just perfect for holidays. And I made a Pattern Emporium everyday shirt, which was fab. So July was another incredible month that I'm so proud of. And then we went into August and we went on holiday. And as I say, things usually slow down in August, which is why we hold our summer sale then. So it still brings a bit of money into the business whilst we're having a summer break. So the sale was the biggest sale I have ever seen, the most orders I've ever had. And I always have that little worry about, like, is it going to bring in enough money to pay the rent and pay the bills? And by the time we got on the plane, I knew we were okay. So thank you everybody who helped out in the summer. And when we came back from holidays, there was like a week or so of August left, and we spent that time finalising the work upstairs, finished off the painting, and Mr. Stitches helped to fit like a big long worktop bench upstairs for putting overlockers and cover stitch machines on and so on, which really completed the look. And it meant that I could get to doing the things that were a little bit more of the titivating, if you will, so hanging up signage and decorating and all that nice things, all the fun bit. And that takes us into September, and September was a really, really nice time. I think it's the first time I haven't felt dread about the winter months. I do get quite seasonally depressed and I really didn't want this to be another really bad winter. But I was feeling very positive in September, so I started to work with, sorry, I've got an itchy nose. I started to work with a business coach in September time through the Entrepreneurs Circle, and it's made a huge difference to have somebody to talk to. Running a business can be quite a lonely experience, and it's, even though I have a accountancy background and a business background, I don't know everything. And it's different doing it by yourself, and it was just so nice to engage the services of somebody that could help. I could bounce ideas off, that could advise me on what I needed to do next. So one of the big struggles that I've had this year, or big things that I've had to come to terms with, is, and this is quite personal, but I will share, I really do feel that I have ADHD. Like a lot of people now, because of social media and the availability of information, I'm pretty sure that's me, and I can relate to every single one of those videos that I see popping up. So I am on the waiting list for a formal diagnosis, but one part of that with me is I'm full of ideas. I know exactly, I've got all these different things I know I need to do, but I really struggle to pin down what to do in which order, and that can end up in starting lots of different things and then getting really overwhelmed and not doing anything. So working with a coach is really, really helpful for me, because it helps to just pull some of those ideas into more of a formal structure and get a bit of guidance and a bit of support. So I started working with my coach in September, and she advised that I needed to really get to grips with email marketing, which is when we started sending out the weekly spilling the tea emails. And at first I thought, what could I possibly have to put in an email each week? But I actually really enjoy sitting down to write them now. And it's a really nice way to just sort of keep in touch and celebrate all the good things that are going on, and share all the new things that have come in, and share some of the inspiration, and sort of keep our community connected. So that's great. Upstairs was officially finished in September, and we held the first workshop up there on September the 21st, which was a beginner's sewing class with Kim. And that was just such a moment to turn around and see that space complete and set up and ready to go, it was very emotional for me to see, just to see it, all that hard work all come together, and it just came together in that one moment. And that's going to stick with me for a long time, that feeling of, it's done. Also in September, I attended Scottish Rocktails, which was such good fun. I just really enjoyed that, and it was so lovely to meet up with so many people, particularly Caroline from the blog team, who we'd never actually met in person, and the lovely Northern Soul sisters, Tamlin, Ruan and Rachel. Rachel's on my blog team as well, and to see them again, and lots of other people, and lovely Hayley, that's so Hayley, who has been to one of our socials but lives a little way away, and we keep in touch via Instagram, and we ended up just spending the whole night partying together, and it was just great. And Emma as well, just so many people to mention. But a lovely, really thoughtfully put together evening. I would love to do something like that here, maybe not in the shop, but within the local area. I just think a celebratory evening like that would be so much fun. So watch this space on that one. And I wore that dress again, that simplicity dress, because I'd made it. So we get another wear. And September was really pivotal as well, because that is the month that my 2 new team members joined. So we welcomed Julie at the start of the month and Jade towards the end of the month. And everybody used to say to me, oh dear, when you've got to hire staff, it's, oh dear, like people are such hard work. Those 2 girls have been an absolute joy, and they're both wonderful. They're both different, and they bring different experiences and different characteristics to the team, which I just love. It's a fresh injection of energy for me, and it's a company. It's nice not to be lonely anymore, and it's nice to have help and not be doing every single last thing by myself. So I just feel like I struck gold with those 2 girls, and I'm looking forward to being able to give them more hours in the future, and we'll grow together as a team, and it's just so nice. I feel like a real grown-up. In terms of sewing in September, I didn't do a huge amount, but I did make an Agnes t-shirt with the new bamboo jerseys, and I made a quilted vest. I really kind of lost my sojo after my holiday. I feel like I went so hard at it with holiday sewing that by the time I came back, I'd kind of lost it a little bit. And then into October, we held another beginners class with Kim, and there was a purple package in October for the ultimate button-up shirt using the plaid fabrics. I had so much fun sewing up the sample for this one with the Friday pattern Butano button-up. What a fab pattern that is. And really proud of that kit, and the navy colourway in particular just sold out immediately. I made myself a t-shirt in that month, and also because we were going to visit the Harry Potter studio tour in October, I made both myself and my daughter matching Hufflepuff robes in October, so that was a good sew. That was good fun. November was a really good month for Jenny Stitches. It was the highest achieving turnover month I've ever had, which I'm super proud of, because I didn't attend the Knitting and Stitching show in Harrogate this year, and I wondered if I would get sort of like FOMO before I went, like fear of missing out, and I didn't. And I'm still glad that I didn't go. It was definitely the right decision not to go this time. Not to say that I won't go in the future, but I did think, oh, you do take a lot of money when you go to these shows, and I actually ended up doing more sales just in the shop this year than I did with the show included last year. So that was phenomenal to me. We had so many workshops in November. So we kicked off with Lucy held the first iteration of a zips masterclass, going through all the different types of zips and how to insert them. And then at the same time, on the same day, I think, was it the same time? We had, no, it wasn't the same time. I think it was the next day, the following day, we had Kim was hosting a pyjama making workshop down here where we made the Tilly and the Buttons Jamie pyjamas. We had the big sew off in November, which was phenomenal. We raised over £1,000 for Mind Charity, so I was super excited and proud to be a part of that. Obviously myself and Sarah that came along did the full 12-hour sewing stint, and we had other people pop in and socialise with us. I made the new Tilly and the Buttons Drew sweatshirt in that time, and I started my sew over it Xanthi skirt, which I went on to finish. We also had 3 Christmas workshops in that time. We had our wreath making workshop with Sarah where we made ribbon wreaths, which was just lovely, and we also had like a fabric bauble workshop which Sarah hosted. So they were just festive and nice. You didn't have to be able to sew to do those workshops, so just fun with friends. And finally Kim hosted a Christmas stocking workshop. And there were beautiful results from that one. In terms of my sewing, I made the Drew and the Xanthi that I'd mentioned, both of which have been in regular rotation. And I also made the Vicky Sews Saty skirt, a bias cut slip skirt, which I don't have any photos of me wearing. I wore it on Christmas Day and it's really comfortable, so I will have to get you some pictures of that on. But yeah, really, really lovely. I was very comfortable in that over Christmas. Just November was bonkers. So really happy about that. And it was such a nice way to kind of round the year off. December is always quiet in this industry. Everybody's off doing Christmas things and mostly have done their Christmas prep at that point, so it does tend to go a bit quieter. But December itself was just a laugh and a chance to really celebrate the achievements of the preceding months and just relax into, theoretically relax into what should have been the Christmas holidays, but as I say, I got ill, so that was not a great timing. But we had our festive social stitches, which was just a riot. We were upstairs, there was over 10 of us, and just lovely to get our gang back together. We had our little staff Christmas party. I asked the girls if they wanted to go out for a meal and they were like, yeah. And I said, do you want to bring your sewing over and we'll have a takeaway upstairs and just have a sewing? And they were like, yes. So that's what we did, and that was just a lovely good fun and gave the girls an opportunity to get to know each other better as well. And in December I made the Rydal jumpsuit by Izzo Sews out of purple velvet, which I wore for a Christmas party with some friends. I love that. And and I also made a table runner like right before Christmas Eve, but I didn't share any photos of that. I've packed it away now as well, but it was just a proper last minute thing. I was like, I need a new table runner, so I whipped that up. So that was 2024. Let's have some tea. And what a year. Apart from the actual transformational side of things, it's been so busy, and looking back on it like that, I can't believe how many workshops and events we've hosted. I'm mentioning the actual classes there, but socials wise, I've lost count of how many socials we held last year, loads, and that community has just grown and grown. Live at 5 has just been a constant that I am so proud of. I never thought that those silly little chatty videos would lead to such a lovely engaged community, but seeing you all chatting away on there, and it cracks me up how I'm stood there with my cup of tea and the comments are just going, hi everyone, and you're all chatting amongst yourselves. I think it's brilliant, and I'm so happy to host that, and I want to see that grow. Looking ahead 2025, I really just want to continue to grow on the success that we've had this year. I feel like both myself personally and professionally, we're in a really good place now. The foundations are laid, the building is under control. And yeah, let's go forward and smash it. But I want to thank you so much for all of your support. I know I've said it loads of times before, but I'll say it again. I could not do this without you. And the support of you, all of my customers, is just, it blows me away on a daily basis. And when I've been through some harder times earlier this year, some of the kind words that I've had from people I'm not just saying it, they have kept me going. And I am so grateful. And yeah, I promise to keep going and to keep smashing it, and let's make it bigger and better than ever before. So, Happy New Year, and I am wishing you and your families all the best for 2025. Let's get loads of sewing done. Oh, there's someone at the door. Right, happy sewing, take care, bye-bye.